Morning, tube heads. It's JD Plumber. How you doing today? Another gorgeous day. Where are we? Well, we're down on our hands and knees, saying our early morning prayers, doing our early morning rituals. Still got to sort out the plumbing here to hook up a dual sink. Not just any dual sink, but an Undermount dual sink and a deep sink. So the height and the basket here too as well is quite a considerable size depth wise, and it's changed the level of my plumbing here that I have to work with. Space is really limited. Anyways, having said that, I did go out and purchase from Lowe's some plumbing supplies. 1.5 inch piping, the traps, a clean out, dishwasher, and all the pieces I require to rebuild this old part here, which I just want to show quickly one more time how it does not line up with the old or the new. It's off ever so slightly, so if that's hooked up like that to that tailpiece, that's how much it's off. Not a whole lot, but enough to drive you crazy. So this has to be rebuilt. Got all the pieces here. Stay tuned. Next step, start the assembly process and the building process. Let's get the show on the road. I drill a couple of holes. Make sure I'm through, which I am. I want to create a little slot big enough to put my jab saw in there. I've already cut across as far as I can go, and I'm hitting the stack right there. I did the same thing at the bottom. Cut over as far as I could till I hit the vertical. I'm gonna have to work the rest of it out with my knives, and just start cutting. How you cut a hole when you don't have reciprocating saws. And watch out for any electrical that might be in here, and take precautions as necessary. There. That's broken. Let's get it here. Okay, access. Alright, just doing a little layout here, trying to figure out the pieces, the order they're going to go in, and how that relationship affects the existing plumbing. And then once I've determined this measurement here, I'm gonna know how far down to bring the old one down. I gotta move this down about 3 inches down. Get this pipe a little bit lower to allow for all the added height. So I figured with all the components in place here that I need to come down the thickness, or 1.5 inches from the existing. So here's the existing with the vent and the drain. I'm gonna have to cut this at about 1.5 inches lower, right there, and then start building across here about 1.5 inches lower than where the existing is. How you doing, mates? Just looking at my magazines. Bought another J-trap, and I like this one better because it's adjustable, so to speak. Service point of view, I really like the way these continuous drains are engineered for that exact purpose. For a service call, let's say you want to change out your sink or whatever, all you have to do is unscrew the J-trap and remove this whole continuous trap or drain, change out your sink. This one here doesn't allow that option. Once it's glued together, you have to cut and destroy all of your plumbing. So yeah, all right, here we go. We're gonna start the assembly process. Layout. I pay my dues. I'm on my hands and knees every day, saying my prayers, hoping for the best. Yeah, mates, that's what I am about. Paying my dues. Having a good time on my hands and knees. I want my gold-plated platinum pension plan too, mates. My gold-plated platinum pension plan. Gold-plated platinum pension plan. Focus. Stay focused. We're gonna get our pension plan. We're gonna get our pension plan. We're gonna get our pension plan one way or another. One way or another. Pension plan. Pension plan. I'm gonna get my pension plan. I'm gonna get my pension plan. I'm getting my pension plan one way or another. I don't really care, but I'm gonna get my pension plan. 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 My pension plan. My pension plan. I'm gonna get my pension plan. My pension plan. I'm gonna get my pension plan. I'm gonna get my pension plan. Pension plan, 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 pension plan. And you thought the fun was over, mate.
The fun's just beginning. I bought for myself, for this special occasion, a brand spanking new, sharp as can be, razor blade. And I'm gonna go and start cutting some pipe. Just when you thought the fun was over, Mike, we're just getting warmed up. I just swapped out in my handy dandy little jab saw a brand spanking new razor blade. What am I going to do with this? You might ask. Well, the task at hand here, mates. The task at hand, it's a tight spot. I know it's hard to see, but I'm going to cut the pipe just above the T, the vent pipe. I'm going to start with that, and I'm just going to be cutting across. Little short strokes. Little short strokes. I'm going to cut that straight across. It might take a few minutes. Come back when it's done. Okay, that's free there. Now I'm going to cut it below. I'm going to cut it below the T as well. That's hard for you to see that, but okay. I've got this separated now. That's the vent. And now I got to cut it below the T as well. But I want to allow for the drop. And the whole purpose of why I'm doing this is I got to drop this down about 1.5 inches. So I'll make my next cut just below there. While we're at this point in the game, I've made my cut there. The dishwasher hose here is still connected into the plumbing. And I need a slotted screwdriver, which luckily I have my Pick Quick with me. More bits than you can shake a stick at. Already set up with my slotted head. Pick Quick, made in Canada. Oh, Canada. I'm gonna loosen that, then we're gonna take that off. And get it out of our way and out of our hair, so that when I make the next cut, I will not have to fight with the dishwasher hose. Nice little bit of water in there. Okay, that's out of the way. Now we're gonna make our cut down about here. All right, back to the floor, back to my hands and knees, where I belong. Oh, Canada. It's me, mates, J.D. Plumber. I was just looking over my layout. Okay, to make my first connection here to couple from the vent to the T, I need to add a coupler here and a piece of ABS pipe to connect the coupler to the vent. So the coupler depth is 3/4 of an inch. The T fitting that I'm going to be using, the coupler is going to engage onto the vent by 3/4 of an inch. So I need to add a piece of ABS to connect the vent from the coupler to the T. There's my first piece. I pay my dues, Mike. I want my golden platinum parachute pension plan when I retire. So, what am I cutting? I have a coupler here. The coupler is going to connect from the bottom of the vent. The bottom of the vent here, this coupler is going to go onto the vent about 3/4 of an inch. And then I'm going to hook up this T that's going to come out of the wall and go to the drain. And what I have to cut is a little piece that will install into the coupler like so, and then the T, this is going to go into the vent, that's going to go at the bottom of the vent, and then this is going to engage with the T. Alright, next, to connect sorry, not from the vent to the T, but from the bottom of the T to the drain. Keeping in mind, I have to drop this about 1.5 inches. Now what I've decided is, instead of 1.5 inches, I'm going to go with 2 inches. I'm going to go with a 2-inch drop here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a piece of ABS pipe that goes from the bottom of my coupler. That's at the bottom of the vent. So from the bottom of the coupler, this is the vent side, the bottom of the coupler, I need to extend this down 2 inches before I connect it to my T fitting. And don't forget to add 3/4 of an inch for the lost material that goes into the fitting. Okay, so 2 inches, add 3/4 of an inch, for a total of 2 3/4 of an inch for a piece of ABS pipe that I have to cut with my trusty hacksaw. So I'm going to measure this out for 2 3/4 of an inch. 2 3/4 right there. Here goes nuts and honey. There we go. Some burrs on there. All in all, a fairly straight cut. Just for fun. See how that fits inside the coupler. It's a nice tight fit. Overall, it's inserted 3/4 of an inch. Alright, we're going to get this right. We're going to get this right. So I forgot to calculate the 3/4 insertion into the other fitting. I'm left with 2 inches of pipe, which is the drop that I want to have. So this is going to be the lucky one, because it says Made in Canada on the pipe right there where I'm cutting it. Not bad for a hack artist, eh? Made in Canada. Made in Canada. 3/4 of an inch into the coupler. 3/4 of an inch into the T fitting. That should leave me with 2 3/4, and it does. 2 3/4 of an inch. Okay, next piece. Okay, so there's the T fitting. Here's the pipe I just cut, the coupler and the T-fitting. This is going to go in this orientation, like that, just like that. And it should be left with approximately 2 inches, which I am. I'm in the ballpark. Alright, I got this sorted out. Let's move back inside. Okay, YouTubers, I want you to see this. There's the fitting, coupler, ABS pipe, and a T-fitting. I've cut the vent loose. There's going to be 3/4 of an inch of the vent pipe inserted into the coupler. So I'm going to hold that up 3/4 of an inch onto the coupler or onto the vent. I'm going to make a mark at the bottom of this fitting here I've rigged up on the drain side. And now that I've made that mark, I'm going to add 3/4 of an inch to that mark to allow for the insertion into the T-fitting here. So I should end up with 3/4 of an inch of insertion at the top of the coupler to the vent, and I should end up with 3/4 of an inch of insertion into the bottom of the T from the drain pipe. Okay, so having said that, how am I going to make a 3/4 inch mark? Well, you know, a lot of people in this trade can eyeball these things. After a while, you get really good and accurate at your estimation. So, this is where I'm going to make my cut, right there. That's going to be my cut line. Take my old trusty jab saw here, and I'm going to start sawing away. Right there. Okay? Alright, YouTube. You don't need to watch this. Pension plan, 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 pension plan. Okay, let's see. Yeah, we're close. Now I gotta fit it all together. Pieces have moved up and down. Okay. Alright, let's see what we got here. The old standard ABS glue. Oh my God, you need to be a strong man. How about a pair of channel locks? Perfect. No stress. Oh, there we go. It's looking kind of yellowy and kind of yummy. You don't have to prime ABS. You do have to prime PVC. I'm going to goop that up there like that. Pretty good. I'm going to take some primer, wrap it around the pipe too, and put these two pieces together like so. Just going to wipe off the excess. Just like to clean that up a little bit. There's one piece. Maybe the inside, maybe I put a little too much glue. Okay, so now I'm going to join this to my T-fitting. And yes, I want the Canada Pride to show, so I'm going to orient this so that Canada is lined up here. Okay, here we go again. I want the T to be oriented the correct way too, not upside down, but see the way it kind of drops down this way. All right, so glue, a little bit of glue, quickly. I know they say to apply it liberally, but I don't need to have it oozing out. Okay, so keeping in mind where the orientation I wanted for Canada and the way that's supposed to drain. There we go. It's together. There's some old residual glue. Some old residual glue that kind of oozes out after people put these things together. So what I wanted to do is just to take a piece of steel wool here and just rub that surface and get it a little bit, get that glue off. Get that residual glue off there and have a nice clean pipe that you can apply fresh glue to, so you're going to make a nice tight connection that's going to be leak free. Insert here, yes. Insert here, insert there. Try to bring the joints together, lining up the pipes the way they need to be oriented. Okay, there we go. We've got everything connected. The drain is connected to the vent. Okay, next step. All right, here's a little closer look at what I just did. There's a little bit of residual glue that oozed out of the joint there. There's the T-fitting, there's my old Canada tribute, and there's the connection to the drain with a little bit of residual glue that oozed out as well. So the critical measurement I need to make now is, the whole purpose to this was to drop the height, and second consideration was to try to line up the drain with the plumbing at the back. I'm using the steel wool here to rub off the burrs and to buff the edges for gluing. And the gold metal standard is right here. I've got everything set up, lined up for amazing plumbing. J-trap, clean out, dishwasher hookup in front of the trap instead of behind the trap, shortened the vent, lengthened the vent, shortened the drain, dropped down the pipe, got the J-pipe to connect, got the continuous drain hooked up. Everything's looking like a gold medal standard. Look, mates, it's the Olympics. I just won a gold medal. There's the old pieces I had to cut out came out of the wall. That used to be there, like that. This used to be here, like this, but it didn't fit. Here we go, mighties. Here we go. We're going to take this apart. The continuous drain, I just disconnected it. The orientation of the pipes are exactly the way they are supposed to be, and I got to glue it up just like that. Same with this part here. Everything is going to get glued up exactly the way it is laid out. I'm going to mark my clocking in relation to all the components. That relationship, and then this relationship here too. So when I go to glue all this together, when I go to reassemble the pieces, everything's going to line up exactly the way it was laid out. Okay, so that baby step. Remember what I said earlier, less is more. Less is more. Press fit that together, line up my two marks. Done. Next joint. Apply the glue. Find your clocking marks. Press fit together. Line up your marks. Done. Next piece. This guy. Do this piece. Put this together. Put this together. Line up my marks. And that's done. Next. Glue that, whoops, oh, drip some on the floor. Oops, my bad. J-pipe, lots of glue there, and the coupler piece, glue around the perimeter. A little more glue. Yeah, that's it. Nice and juicy. These two together, like so. Like so. Get my clocking marks lined up. And there. And that's that. Everything looks lined up pretty good. Now, so I'm going to glue all these joints together now. play. Oh, come on, get on there. Get on there, into position. Get into position.
Story. It's very true.
Okay. Okay. Everything's together.
Oh, balls is hot over there. So are you filming?
Yeah. Good. All right, here we are. I just wanted to take a look at everything now that I've got everything hooked up. Everything, I'm just checking now here, make sure all the connections are tight and clean, and all the closers are fastened tightly. This is closed. I've had to, I've wrenched on the fittings here. Make sure they're all nice and tight. There's no leaks. Got the water fittings. Everything's all nice, tight, and secure. Leak free. There is a little bit of water coming out of here, surprisingly. Or is that just condensation from the cold with the humid air? We'll find out soon enough. I'm doing a water test. Doing a water test to make sure the fixture's hooked up. That was fun too. That's where the fixture got connected. I had to hook up this weight. Now, just want to make sure everything's good and dry down here, because I did have an issue with this joint right here. I forgot to glue it. Can you imagine? I forgot to glue this joint up. Anyways, it's all glued now. And yeah, just checking and verifying everything is connected tightly. I had another issue with the leak right here, coming through this cheap ass basket and tailpipe connector. I put the old channel locks to her, and I gave her a couple of twisted turns there. Made sure that was tight. I'm just gonna pull the drains. Let's see what happens. Fill up the system. That looks dry there. That looks dry there. Everything's dry. I had a leak over here. That looks dry. Everything in here looks dry. I don't see any traces of any water anywhere, which to me equates to a gold medal standard. There is something I don't like though, and there's something funky going on here. I might have to tighten these up a bit. This nut and that nut. This nut, I'm not sure where. Oh yeah, that's where the water is coming from. It's sweating here. This joint needs to be tightened up. Okay, a couple of more twists and turns of the wrenches. It should be okay. Okay, coming back in a few minutes to do one more test on this. Otherwise, this part passed. The drain passed.